to order. Please call the roll.
Councilman Camilleri?
Here.
Councilman Conti?
Here.
Councilman Halco? Here. Councilwoman Mazer?
Here.
Council President Samaluka?
Here, please rise, salute the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been sent to all council members on June 6, 2014, and to all legal newspapers in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
The public is hereby advised that any statements made during the meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook may not be privileged or protected, and that persons or entities who take issue with such comments or are offended by same may and have in the past sought legal redress through the courts. Any member of the public who addresses the council speaks for themselves and not for the council.
Is there a motion to open the meeting for the public?
Motion.
Motion, Mr. Conti. Second, Mr. Camilleri. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Passed unanimously. Meeting is now open to the public. Anyone wish to address the council, please come forward.
Larry Ratajczak, 92 Claremont. Just to say something about last week's or whatever the meeting. There's either something, Mr. Halka, pay attention here, please, because this is directed to you.
Well, you didn't say
The
that.
microphones were horrible. I know
Well,
it's a
that
new
microphone
system.
was.
I don't know which one.
And it's a problem with the
And
wireless.
also, there's a lot of background music in the back of the, if you watch the meeting on TV. And you cannot hear us talk, you can't hear the mayor answer. And I mean, you know, are we gonna fix it or what?
When I transferred the tape, I did not hear any
Yeah, well,
background
if you
music.
listen to it, you hear WABC in the background, like either the
I'll
radio
listen to
station
it
or
and
whatever.
see.
So if you're working and you have the radio station hooked on, you know, you're killing us, that's what you're doing. Like I said, if you don't want us to speak or you don't want the public to hear us, just tell us, you know what I mean, and we won't waste
Yeah,
our
that's
time
not
coming
the-
here.
that's not
And
the
you won't
case.
waste your time filming it, but let's just see what we can do to improve it. Through the chair to the mayor, are we having our phones on or off tonight?
Let me check my phone's up.
I don't know, I'm asking
I'm not on
you.
grandma duty.
I'm asking you. Well, I was on
I'm not
father
on
duty that
family
night.
duty.
Not to be disrespectful to you,
I
but you
didn't
breathe the
say a
same air.
word. I didn't bring it
I'm
up.
talking,
I
Mayor.
didn't
You
bring it
breathe
up.
the same air as I do.
Absolutely.
Okay, if your phone is on, mine is on. So we'll do that, like I say. And you people up there should never have your electronic devices on because you can't text each other.
Absolutely
Okay?
correct.
Correct. So there's no grandma duties, no father duties, no
Not
nothing like
this
that.
evening, Larry.
Okay.
But thank
Well, I'm
you
just
for
asking
caring.
you. I'm just asking you.
Thank
Because
you for caring.
we go by your
Thank you
leadership.
for caring.
If you have the phone on,
Absolutely, and if I'm
it's
a
okay for us to.
family mayor and
Okay,
you're
let's
a
not waste a
family
lot of time,
president, I
Mayor.
think it's
Like I
wonderful.
say, we lead by the
Wonderful.
example. Now, tonight, when we talk about the budget, are we gonna be allowed to come up when you talk, or is this only one-shot deal?
No, it's
Come
open
up
to
on
the
the
public for the
items?
budget amendment.
Okay, well, I'll just ask a few questions on going on right now. The overtime for the police is at $173,000. I believe that's kind of low considering what we spent last year. I know we hired some new officers. Is there money appropriated for new police hires in the budget? Anybody can feel free to answer. A no answer I consider is a don't know. So I don't think we're ready to go forward with the budget. What are we doing with the deputy chief's salary, the 175? Are we leaving that in the police department or in their money, or are we spending it someplace else? No comments? Okay, we're doing great today. Why are we leasing the police cars now instead of buying them? He also has $150,000 in a temporary appropriation. When that money, the tax appeals are paid, that money's going to be gone. So I believe we'll be $150,000 short, Mr. DiMaria.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Well, like I said, just check it out. You have a $150,000 temporary appropriation. When you use that money up, we're 150
In what line?
behind. You'll see it there.
Where?
It's there. I believe you're using it for tax appeals. So once you pay
I
them,
have no idea what you're
we're
talking
150. Okay. I don't want to waste a lot of time. What is the percentage of our white collar, blue collar payroll Like, what is the gross payroll, and what is that 2% increase gonna cost us? And what is the PBA 3% gonna cost us? Because that's also money we're gonna be short on. And how much money do we have bonded out right now? Before we do anything new? Because we're always told we're in good shape, and like I say, if you're gonna bond money to do the DPW roof and bond money to do the salt shed, I believe that should be done out of capital improvements if we're financially stable. We shouldn't have to bond for them two little items like that. And the only thing I can say to the council is, I hope that you know the budget, not the auditor, because the auditor will not be questioned at the next council meeting. And if you vote yes for it, that means you understand it, and you should be able to answer all of our questions. And we probably will have a guest here that'll be professional about it. Like I say, the residents don't know enough about the budget, and I don't believe the council does either. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Is there a motion to close?
Make the motion.
Mr.
Second.
Camilleri, second by Mr. Hopper, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is now closed to the public. Motion to open the hearing on the budget amendment.
Make a motion.
Mr. Conti, second Mr. Hopper, all in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Passes. Meeting is now open on the budget amendment. I don't know if anybody in the public has this paper. Was it passed out?
It's out there.
It's out there. Entertain a motion to close.
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Hopper. Second, Ms. Mazer, all in favor? Meeting is now closed on the budget amendment. Okay. Again, we have the chief here. We talked about the chief and the police director are going to come in. We asked them to come in. We will be talking about that. That's a personnel item, and that is going to be talked about in closed session. But we thank you, gentlemen, for coming here. One council comments, and I guess I'm just going to direct something to Chief, and you can or can't, but, or answer if you want. I mean, I don't want to put you under the gun, but in terms of the traffic that's on Market Street, is that due, do you believe that that's due to that the Lodi construction underneath that bridge? And if so, is that going to end at any time soon? Do you have any information on that?
I assume you're talking about eastbound Market Street?
Correct, sir.
Well, normally eastbound Market Street is bad to begin with. It's because when you get down to the intersection on peak traffic times, and somebody wants to make a left, first of all, before it turns green, it's a delayed green. So you're waiting there. Then when you want to make a left, if the traffic's still coming down westbound, there's not enough room for the person behind stacking of cars to go around. So that's a problem in and of itself. Recently, in the last week or so, you'll have construction by public service between Market Street and Outwater Lane. Both travel lanes, both approaching from the north and from the south, are basically closed and restricted. So what are motorists doing? They're turning on Outwater, they're turning on Market, and they're making a complete block. So Westminster's getting blocked. When Westminster's bad, they go down to Fifth Street. But I don't think we're talking about westbound, you're talking about eastbound. So
Eastbound, because it's
is-
going down to the 7-Eleven.
is worse because of that restriction as well. If someone wants to go down to Main Street and make a right, you can't. So they're kind of confused what to do, whether they're going straight or making a left. So the traffic's bad to begin with, and it's getting worse because of the roadway construction projects. But the intersection is just a horrible intersection, and on peak times, this ain't the first time Market Street backs up, the 7-Eleven happens quite daily.
Chief, is there any way, now I know it's not one of our guys down there, but it's a Lodi guy that I see a cop car parked there under the bridge. Is there any way we can contact Lodi and have him get out of his car and actually direct traffic? To maybe, you know, as the light's changing and there's no traffic traveling northbound on Main Street going into Rochelle Avenue, maybe what he can do is by hand, even though it's red for eastbound traffic, that maybe he can stop traffic in other directions and just, you know, get 10 or 15 cars out after it turns, you know, after it turns red, get a bunch of cars out of there, and then, and maybe that'll alleviate, it's not gonna solve it, but at least we can get an additional 10 or 15 cars out of there per, you know, per traffic cycle. Now, I know that's Lodi is maybe, I don't know if, because the construction is in Lodi, I know they've got a guy that we don't have anybody there, but is it possible to see what's happening? I know the chief is just retired, I don't know who's in charge over there, but is it possible that they can actually do that by hand?
We've asked Lodi to assist us currently with the situation that's happening with the closure of that block between Market Street and Outwater. So that has been done, but in the past, when even Bergen County Police Department was down there to assist us, maybe when Railroad Avenue was closed, and again, all the traffic was coming to Market Street, making
Right.
no left, the police are actually helpless. It's not gonna help. It's an engineering problem. The roadway, the intersection is not wide enough to accommodate someone who wants to go and make a left, and the stacking of vehicles just can't get around. So it's an engineering problem, it may be a timing problem. So if you're asking if cops could help,
Yes.
cops are basically useless if they're assigned there. They're helpless and useless. You need engineering, you need coordination of maybe the county engineers to say, what can we do to alleviate that intersection congestion?
Well, there is a project, and I sat on the meetings on that. There is a project to make the left turn lane on every leg of that intersection. We know, but that's probably years in the making. But it's just bad. It's been bad, but it's getting worse. I've never seen it backed up. It looks like it's going past Washington School now. But you're saying that even if a cop is there and directing traffic, that it's not gonna help. Almost as if the light was out. You'd have a police there directing traffic, and maybe, you know, seeing that it's backed up in one direction and it's okay in another direction, and maybe just wave the guys on and keep them traveling. So this way we can get it down to at least Ed's, and then maybe, and then bring it to Town Hall, and then, you know, get it, so this way the backup, the queue is not that long.
It's like anything else you do. If you put a restriction, you're trying to assist your traffic going east, you're backing up traffic trying to come west, you're backing up traffic trying to come north or south. So in reality, there is no answer for you. I can't give you an answer. I can't assign my police officers there. I wouldn't do that. And I don't think a police officer is help.
No? Okay, well, that's the answer. Before we get to the ordinances, any other council comments since we met last week?
I have just one, Andrew. Again, it goes back to the pumping station on Mayhill Street. I think what I gathered from our last meeting, we are gonna have to invest some money in preventing that from failing on us. You know, so I just wanna let that know. I think that we should look in that area, that we're gonna have to invest in our infrastructure in a little bit over there.
Yeah, I think one of the suggestions from the engineer was to cut in
Right.
the valve, and that's
Right.
gonna allow us to clean it out, and
Absolutely.
that should.
But it's gonna
should
cost
help.
money, is
Oh,
that,
sure.
that's what I'm saying.
Certainly, it's gonna cost money, and it's an investment. We own the water department, and we're gonna have to pay for it, no
Just-
doubt.
Andrew, is Rob working on providing a cost estimate so we can
I
move
spoke to him
forward with that?
yesterday, and he said he was,
Okay.
yes. That's important. If we can get that cleaned out, that might solve a bunch of the problems. Not, I mean, in horrific torrential rains, it may not solve everything,
But it'll help.
but it'll help, yeah. And I think any little bit helps. And yes, it's gonna cost money, but everything costs money. Okay. That said, I'll go to the ordinances. First reading?
Ordinance number 1575-14, a bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $995,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds be passed and adopted on first reading.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Halco, is there a second?
No, second.
Mr. Conti,
Yes.
roll call.
Councilman Camilleri,
Yes.
Councilman Conti,
Yes.
Councilman Halco,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer,
Yes.
Council President Samaluka.
Yes, please read the resolution.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that a bond ordinance to authorize the making of various public improvements in by and for the Township of Saddlebrook, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $995,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds heretofore passed on first reading, be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the first day of July 2014 at 7:00 p.m. or sooner after as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of a time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Okay, now just so we're okay on this, this ordinance covers money appropriated for the installation of a salt shed, replacement of the roof, the installation of ramps, curbs, and sidewalks on the county roads, which is going to be, once we do that, then the county will be paving these roads, and we will be reimbursed for our outlay, and also for improvements to the sanitary sewer system, which is, Joe, part of what you just talked about pump station. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco?
Second.
Mr. Camilleri, please, roll call.
Councilman Camilleri,
Yes.
Councilman Conti,
Yes.
Councilman Halco.
Yes.
Next ordinance.
Ordinance 1576-14 is a bond ordinance to authorize the replacement of the water main at Cambridge Avenue from Rugby Road to approximately 400 linear feet west, in by and for the water utility of the Township of Saddlebrook in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of 300.
It says 995,000, that's
I
an
typed
error.
it wrong, that's
Should
an
be
error.
335?
335, to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds, be passed and adopted on first reading.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halco?
Second.
Mr. Conti, roll call.
Councilman Camilleri,
Yes.
Councilman Conti,
Yes.
Councilman Halco,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer,
Yes.
Council President Samaluka.
Yes, with the understanding that the amount is 335.
Be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that a bond ordinance to authorize the replacement of the water main at Cambridge Avenue from Rugby Road to approximately 400 linear feet west, in by and for the water utility of the Township of Saddlebrook in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $335,000 to pay the cost thereof, to make a down payment, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds heretofore passed on first reading, be further considered for final passage at a meeting to be held on the first day of July 2014 at 7:00 p.m. or sooner after as the matter can be reached at the Municipal Building, 93 Market Street, and that at such time and place all persons interested be given an opportunity to be heard concerning said ordinance according to law, with the notice of its introduction and passage on first reading, and of the time and place when and where said ordinance will be further considered for final passage.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Halko, second by Mr. Conti, roll call.
Councilman Camilleri?
Yes.
Councilman Conti?
Yes.
Councilman Halko?
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazer?
Yes.
Council President Simulka?
Yes, also with the understanding that the amount is $335,000.
We have resolutions.
The first resolution is resolution, do you want to read it? Do it.
They're posted on the bulletin board. The first resolution is to authorize the engineer to submit a grant application through the New Jersey Department of Transportation, and the grant would be for the sidewalks by the Helen I. Smith School, which would be part of the Department of Transportation grants for neighborhood schools.
Is there a motion? Motion by Mr. Conti, second by Mr. Camilleri. All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? That's unanimously. Next resolution.
Next resolution is approval to submit a grant application, again through the New Jersey Department of Transportation for Market Street's streetscape lighting project.
Make a motion.
Mr. Halko, second by Mr. Conti. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Passed unanimously. Next resolution.
We have a resolution, it's for paying of one bill, Employee Benefit Solutions for $12,472.82.
And that's for the cards.
Yes, to implement a change in the health program, health benefit program.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Camilleri with the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any objections? Passed unanimously. Old business and new business that we have not previously discussed tonight. Joe, in answer to your question, I think we're on our way with that. We gotta get that done. I agree 100%. And, we're gonna rely on, there's been a problem with the pump station, from the beginning. It's just gotta be fixed, so we gotta do what we gotta do. So,
This may fall under new business. I just have a couple questions here with the budget amendment here. I don't know if someone can answer me. All right. I see here on our public works vehicle maintenance, it was 60,000. It's going down to 30. That's a reduction. Is there any
that
reasons
was,
for that?
yeah, that was the money that we had appropriated for the salary.
But we're not gonna skimp. I mean, I know we have all new equipment with our DPW now. We're not gonna cut on maintenance because
No.
that's falling under vehicle maintenance as well,
Yeah,
salaries and wages.
Right, we put $60,000 in
Right.
the anticipation for an annual salary of approximately $60,000.
Right, I understand
Since
that.
since the half the year is gone, so if somebody is hired, it wouldn't be hired till July 1st, so we just cut half of that salary. It's got nothing, it's
All right.
not taking it out of any kind of maintenance issues.
All right, I have another question under general appropriations. We have sewer processing and disposal. That also went down from 835 to 810.
Second
Page 2,
I am
general appropriations.
204.
Utility expenses and bulk
Oh,
purchases.
okay, for the sake of that. Actually, we have the,
835 to 810. That actually went down in
No.
cost.
That's because we're halfway through the year,
the
right?
budget went down, the cost, the appropriation went down. There was always a little extra in there because by the time the bill
So
came
we know
in.
what that's gonna be.
Yeah.
Frank, that's because we're halfway through the year already, and we
Oh, we got the
know,
bill.
we know what it is,
We got the
yeah.
bill.
That's all I got.
Frank, just on the municipal debt services, again, interest on notes, that went down kind of significantly.
For the vans,
Yes.
from 83,960 to 58. But we had to move it to spread it out down the bottom, to interest on the refunding bonds.
Okay.
21,000 down there.
Okay.
Just isolated separately. They moved up the, we originally asked for a deferral of the 1 year, and they wanted it in this, to push it back 1 more year for first payment for the new issue, because we went down late in the year. But they, in the end, they wanted it in the first installment of 14. So.
And there was nothing in the original budget for tax refunding bonds?
That was what we were hoping to push off on.
Was that?
We're hoping to push installment 1 off into 15, but they said no.
Okay. And again, everything balances out. I mean, that's the bottom line. Okay, Mayor, do you have anything before we go into closed session?
Not at this time. The ALS walk was a great success. They raised quite a bit of money for 250 walkers, and they raised over $250,000. We've had a problem on Jamrose Terrace. We had a problem at Smithsburg Fields, and Deputy Chief White's in the audience, the Chief of Police is in the audience, Pete Ladico, myself, the Superintendent of Schools, the Administrator, and Bobby White and I met at Smithsburg. We've had vandalism beyond, particularly for one resident. And to me, it's a collective problem in as much as the township owns the walkthrough from Smith to Jamrose. And then, of course, it's the Board of Education. So after spending some time there today, we decided that the school is going to look into the cost of putting a camera. Now, the cameras that are existing there now are good for 2 weeks. So if there is vandalism, the police have an opportunity within that 2-week realm to try to do their investigation. However, which may or may not be a drawback, is the factor that the Board of Ed is looking to upgrade all the cameras at all the schools next year. So it's like, now, do you spend good money after that? So the administrator was kind enough to say, we'll look into it, we'll see how much. I feel it's a problem that is town-wide, and I feel when it comes to the dollars and cents, that I believe the Board of Ed and the township should share costs into the future. We also looked at the public service, the poles, the lighting. So the Board of Ed is going to check out the cost on a camera before next year to see if we can do that now. What we are going to do, Pete is going to be, and we have a meeting with public service, I believe on Monday, we're going to look towards them to see if they can recommend some type of lighting back there. We'll discuss it with the residents because we're certain that if it's projected properly, it at least may defray. At the same time, our deputy chief said that, it would be the hope that now that we have more officers on, that, and this to the police chief, that we can have the manpower go more frequently, get out of the cars on weekends in particular, and go behind Smith School, because behind the school, it's a virtual vegetation barrier where they have places to hide from the police if the police are on camera down. So now we're hoping if we can work together, which I know we could, it's just a cost factor now, and I hope we're not going to be deterred by it. So we'll have to rely on the Southbrook police that, Jamrose Terrace, and I do have to say, the residents on Jamrose are too intimidated by the youth, the gang youths, the certain gang youths that are there, to call the police department. So we're trying to bring that level down, that they feel more comfortable in calling the police. And I think that will happen once the police presence is there. So that basically, is what I've been working on. And we'll see how we can defray the damage by cooperative efforts between the board, the township, the council, administration, and particularly the police department. We really need you out there now. And also, people have been in touch with me that the same group that is traveling that route has been behind Coolidge School. And from what the residents were telling me in that neighborhood was normally the groups would go, they'd sit on the stands and they'd leave everything alone. Now they're beginning to damage residential properties. And it seems to be the same group. So, Chief, if you could talk to Deputy Chief, because he and I had some discussion with some names involved that are confidential, I think it would be great for the township. And again, to the parents, you know, you have to know where your children are and know that we have a 10 o'clock curfew, because that is so important. And again, there, spring, summer's here, the curfew, the police have to get out there and let these youngsters know it's 10 o'clock. You have to go home, or else take them in, call up the parents, teach the parents a lesson that they need to know where their children are and to direct them not to be mischievous. We don't mind the children having areas to socialize, but the destruction is not needed. So I thank you for your attention on that, Chief.
Karen,
Yes.
just one question. Those are all children in our town? I mean, they're not children from other towns? I'm just...
My experience, Joe, and I can't answer that as to this individual problem. In the past, they've been youth from other towns also.
Right.
So as I said at the last council meeting, and I'll say it here, it is not always and only Saddlebrook youth.
Mm-hmm.
There are other towns coming in. We have a lot of good kids out there, and I believe in them, so
Sure, so do I.
that's where my trust is. Thank you.
And just one other thing, while I'm thinking about it. The actual ordinance, the curfew ordinance, called for it to be revisited. I don't think it ever was.
And let's put it on
And
the
I,
agenda.
well, I think what it also says is that the mayor provides a report about what, you know, from your office and from what the calls that you're getting, how you feel that it's worked out and any kind of suggestions to fix it, and also from the chief. So I'm gonna, ask that.
Well, if I may state even here, even if it's a verbal report, Andrew, I think once that ordinance was implemented and the police were following through, it worked very, very well. This being a new year, I think we've fallen through the cracks a bit. So we have to be more alert.
Well, if we
That
want
would
to,
be my report.
well,
And then Chief and I could always issue, if
Yeah.
you want, in writing a separate
yeah,
report.
I would think that's. I mean, we're just following what
No
what the
problem.
ordinance says. So, if you check the order, exactly what it says, exactly what the ordinance wants, a report, but I think it specifies like how you feel about it. I think it talks about how many arrests, how many warnings, because it does call for a warning. They're supposed to ask, why are you here? Who are you? Where do you live? How old are you? So how many warnings are issued? How many actual offenses and summonses are issued? So if you could do that this way, shame on me because I forgot that it said that, and we never followed up. So it was brought to our attention about that. Police director?
I'm familiar.
Malcolm?
Yes.
I mean, it's not the same group of youth. 15 years ago, my first term as mayor, we had the same problem, but it was the house on the other side of the path. So we worked on that then. And as each generation unfolds, there's still a problem there, but it's always in a different way. So at least we're addressing it. We're trying to do our best. Thank you.
Pete, if you can get in touch with your counterpart on the board, maybe come up with something. Okay. All right. Any further old new business that we haven't talked about yet?
Oh, I would like to, old business.
Yes.
Railroad crossing Mayhill Street last night. We had our two railroad representatives here, and it was about, I say between the hours of 7 and 8 p.m. last night. I happened to be traveling market to go over Mayhill, and I had seen that what appeared to be another backup. There was a lineman out on the railroad, the traffic was moving. Meantime, upon getting to my house, I had a text from a resident telling me they waited, I believe, like 19 minutes. Well, it also happened, my daughter was with the triplets, and she was there for 20 minutes. So I did get on the phone, the direct number to Dick from the railroad, and I got his voicemail, 9 o'clock last night. He did call me back. He said they are aggressively working on it. They have some plans. We'll be meeting again. He gave me more information, and he's also checking on the occurrence last night. So they are listening to us, it appears. So, utilizing that phone number, right now, we're getting responses, which I'm pleased to see.
And while we're on railroad, and we talked about it last week, we had the resident from Leicester, with the new business that came on, I think it's
They're
400
allowing
Leicester.
that to, railroads are allowing the new business to utilize that road.
Correct. However, since it is a new business and they have, new vendors, they throw it in the GPS and they turn down Leicester. So I think what we need to do just to help those guys out is maybe just make a call to the ownership or the management there so they can advise their vendors, their delivery people, to use that access road. Because what's going to happen is they have not so much UPS who goes there every day, but somebody from some freight line comes up. It's going to say 400 Leicester. They're going to make that turn down there, not knowing that they could use that. So they've got to advise their own people, their own suppliers.
My understanding, Andrew, I was down at the building department discussing this with Tony, and Nick Willie, the resident on Leicester, who was, gravely concerned,
Yes.
was down there also. And the new company has been advised to notify any and all
Okay.
suppliers and vendors.
Yeah, 'cause I did get a
So
text
we
saying
seem to
tractor
be
trailers all the time.
At a calm now,
Okay.
but we're hoping,
And I think
and
they
Nick
just
will
put
keep us
signs up.
advised.
And we put signs up?
No, they
The
did.
sign is,
There's a sign
there
up
is
the
a
turn.
sign.
Okay, beautiful.
There's a sign of the new company.
By the
Very
railroad.
good.
That was
Okay.
formerly
So,
Acme is now changed.
so that's
That's
cooperation
it.
between
Yes.
the town, the business, and the railroad. So that worked
Correct.
out nice. Okay.
And that's what I'm saying.
Very good. All right, I guess, right now, if you want to read the resolution.
Whereas the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook desires to meet for the purpose of a closed session to discuss personnel, whereas the Open Public Meetings Act does make an exception and allows a public body to hold a closed session to discuss personnel, now therefore be resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Saddlebrook that the closed session take place on June 12, 2014 at 7 o'clock p.m., or as soon thereafter as the matter can be reached that the municipal building be closed to the public and to the press, and that the results of the discussion at the closed session will be released to the public when the reasons for discussing and acting on it in closed session no longer exists.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Conti.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hoppe. All in favor? Any objections? No? Passed unanimously. Meeting will be closed to the public to discuss personnel issues with the chief and the police director.